All right, good morning. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Back here on PALS TV. Season 7 is underway. Got off to a great start yesterday. We had a lot of fun throughout the whole states, kicking it off with Amanda's tour, and then finishing it out over in Heath with their Family Feud segment, and just great segments in between. And today will be no different. Starting out this morning with Animal Safari Tour with Amanda, continuing from yesterday. I thought that was a lot of fun, so it should be another great tour today. History with Ed. They've given us great segments down in Gallia County, so today will be no different. We have our book club with Phil. AOTL is going to do some squirt gun art, and then finishing out with Heath again. Should be another fun day there with an escape room challenge. So great lineup here on PALS TV, and we love continuing to connect with you in this way and being able to just bring you great programs from around the state. Amanda's done terrific tours for us virtually. We've had some actually tours on location where she went to recycling plants and down to the Nutcracker and Fort Steuben. And then her virtual tours have been fantastic. When we started out with Smithsonian, headed over to down the road to the Ford Theater in Washington, D.C., and then Air Force Museum here close to home in Dayton, Ohio. She did a Magic Kingdom tour. And like I said, yesterday did the Animal Safari. It was a great start, and I'm looking forward to today's segment as well. So live from Steubenville, we have Amanda.
Hi, everyone. So today we're doing part 2 of the Animal Safari. So real quick before we get started, Lauren, where are you at? She sent me a message. I see her phone there. She sent me a message and said she wanted to see the Balto statue. Apparently the wolves, they look a little bit like the Huskies. So Lauren, I found you the Balto statue, and I'm going to share my screen so you can see it. The Balto statue is located in Central Park, New York. And there is the statue, if you guys can see it. Told Lauren I'd make sure I'd find it. It's located near the Tisch Children's Zoo. Back in 1925, Nome, Alaska was stricken with diphtheria. Not enough antitoxin was available to treat all the sick until teams of mushers and sled dogs battled a blinding blizzard and traveled 674 miles to deliver the medicine. Balto, a husky, was one of those heroic league dogs. So there is the Balto statue, Miss Lauren, that you asked for. Okay, so now we are going to head off into the wide world of the safari. I'm going to move y'all over here. I'm going to open this up. This over here. All right. Good. I'm going to pause that. Bring this over here, full screen it. Oops, don't want to do that. So, stop sharing for a minute. Telling you guys, it's like my first day today for some reason. Can't get it together. Okay, so now I'm going to share screen again. And we're going to give you screen 1, share. All right, so let me get my audio going. Can you guys see the long lead logo on it? Good. All right. Share computer sound, full screen.
Second virtual safari. In this safari, we'll be meeting animals from 6 different continents, including Africa, South America, North America, Asia, as well as Europe, and as far afield as Australia. We'll be journeying through the areas you normally see when walking around the Longleat grounds. We will explore Jungle Kingdom, we'll take a jungle cruise and catch up with our feisty Californian sea lions and majestic western lowland gorillas. In the Monkey Temple, we'll meet our adorable red pandas and some nectar-swilling lorikeets. So, without any further ado, sit back, relax, and let's get Longleat's second virtual safari underway. No trip to the Jungle Kingdom would be complete without a close-up encounter with these instantly recognizable creatures, meerkats. And what better way to enjoy them than by taking a stroll in their walk-through enclosure, the first of its kind in the UK. These African mammals, part of the mongoose family, are a joy to watch as they go about their busy lives. Meerkats live in large social groups known as a mob, sometimes with up to 50 individuals. Here at Longleat, we have two groups. The girls, led by Cassie, who has to contend with the likes of Moana, the teenage troublemaker of the group. And the boys, led by Obi, who recently took the top spot from his dad, Pip. Well, they do say, keep it in the family. One obvious benefit of being raised in a large society like this is that the adults without young of their own help with childcare, spending hours teaching the youngsters. Lessons may include fending off deadly cobras or how to disarm the sting of a scorpion, one of the meerkats' favourite foods. By day, they hunt and forage on the sand, but at night they retire to their network of underground burrows. They are adept diggers, clearly equipped for the task in hand with those sharp claws. Furthermore, they have a special membrane to protect their eyes and can even close their ears to keep the dirt out while digging. Pretty impressive. In the wild, their burrows consist of a vast interconnected system of tunnels which can total some 100 meters in length if laid end to end. And with more than 20 entrances, you have to agree, it's a seriously impressive piece of engineering. Now, can you see those dark patches around their eyes? Yes? Well, it may interest you to know that they act like a pair of sunglasses, cutting down on the sun's glare, allowing them to look out for predators. And looking out for predators is one of their trademark signs. Famed for that upright posture, one meerkat, known as the sentry, is always on guard, eyes alert and always scanning their environment, including the skies, as they are susceptible to an aerial attack from a bird of prey in the wild. And once a sentry raises the alarm, all of the meerkats race back to the burrow for safety. Now that's teamwork. It's time now to meet the meerkat's next door neighbour. Say hello to the world's largest burrowing animal, the aardvark. The one we're looking at now is called Benny. When Benny isn't digging with those spade-shaped feet and shovel-like claws, or sniffing out food with the super-sensitive elongated nose, he can be found sleeping. Usually in between our two other female aardvarks, Frankie and Nacho. And staying on the theme of relaxation, on hot sunny days here at Longleat, it might not surprise you to hear that our aardvarks like to sunbathe. The keepers even apply sun cream to prevent them from burning. And the pampering doesn't end there. Benny is also quite renowned for sucking on his keeper's hair. The fact they let him says as much about our keepers as it does our aardvarks. There are no such luxuries in the wild though. Aardvarks must dig their own burrows, sometimes up to 6 meters deep, and they have a daily mission to track down and devour 50,000 termites. Something that's getting harder and harder out in the wilds of Africa where they live. Aardvarks are generally nocturnal, meaning they're mostly active at night. But some have been seen foraging in daylight, a sure sign that food is scarce. This behaviour is undoubtedly down to the changes in the world's climate. Higher temperatures have led to droughts, and that has a knock-on effect with the termite population. Compelling evidence to suggest that now, more than ever, we need to do everything we can to help safeguard the future of the animals with which we share this planet. When it comes to natural curiosities, our next animal is usually top of the list. Meet Adana, our binturong. With a cat-like face and a bear-like body, they are also known as bear cats, despite being related to neither. Their most noticeable feature has to be that huge prehensile tail, which is as long as their body. They use it like an extra hand when moving from branch to branch in the treetops, where they spend most of their time. The other really interesting fact about binturongs is that they can turn their ankles 180 degrees, so their claws can still grip when climbing down trees head first. You have to admit, that is quite impressive. Now, if this was smell-o-vision, you would probably be getting a familiar aroma right about now. Well, that's because binturongs have a scent gland that smells just like buttered popcorn. They use that scent to mark their territory, and whilst it smells delightful to us, it's a sure sign to predators and other binturongs that they're trespassing. You know, it is amazing how different animals play their own important part in supporting the ecosystem, and the binturong is no different. Whilst moving around the forest and feeding, they promote new plant growth by depositing the seeds they have consumed everywhere they go. What fantastic eco-warriors! Armed with a 2-foot-long tongue, which is covered in microscopic hooks, meet our South American giant anteaters, Moroni and Bonito, and their son Basil. As their name suggests, they eat ants, but they're not too fussy. Termites are just as good if they can find them, and they'll consume around 20,000 of them each and every day. But first, they need to break into a termite mound, and they do that using those sharp claws. Looking at them, they're reminiscent of something that might belong to a dinosaur. Those, together with powerful forelegs, mean that most structures don't stand a chance. Given their meal can bite back, anteaters have thick skin and dense fur which offers the perfect resistance. And what better way to relax after a hearty meal than by taking a leaf out of Moroni's book here. This anteater loves to sunbathe, and when she gets too hot, also enjoys being showered down with a hose. Who can blame her? The last animals to meet on the first leg of our virtual safari here in Jungle Kingdom are Africa's largest rodents, Sprout and Pepper, our pair of Cape-crested porcupines. Sprout is the older of the two at 21 years old, and he loves sweet potato. Pepper is around 2, likes her own space, and can be a little bit grumpy. But one thing they've both got in common, they are most definitely armed and dangerous. Just check out their formidable coat of spines and quills. Ordinarily, as you can see here, they lie flat against their body. But if a predator approaches, as would happen in the wild, they are instantly raised to issue a spectacular warning. That sight, along with a stamping of its feet and shaking of its tail to produce a rattling noise, should see off most attackers. But persistent predators have got a second shock in store. With its quills raised, the porcupine will rush backwards into its attacker, embedding the barbed quills into its skin. Whilst they may appear flimsy, once those quills get stuck in flesh, they are extremely difficult and painful to remove, meaning that most predators will think twice before taking on a porcupine. The only battle our keepers have with them is ensuring the sand is not banked too high near the meerkat mound, as the porcupines have learnt to climb up and over the mound. It's not to protect the meerkats from them. In fact, they actually mix quite often. No, it's more to keep the porcupines and the visitors apart for obvious safety reasons. Time to move on. There's no mistaking that vocal barking. Meet our group or raft of 6 Californian sea lions who live in the lake all year round and accompany us on every boat trip. The most vocal of them all is actually one of the youngest, a female called Belle. But the oldest, and definitely the largest of them all, is this guy, Buster. What a brute! He's in charge of things round here and has fathered over 25 pups in his time. What they all have in common is an unrivaled ability at catching fish. Sea lions are perfectly adapted for a life in the water, reaching speeds of up to 20 miles per hour, and can turn on a sixpence manoeuvring through the water with ease in pursuit of their fish supper. Of course, following our boats, they have life a little easier than they would in the wild, as we allow our visitors to feed them. That said, the sea lions have their work cut out. Just by chasing our boats, they can clock up to 30 to 40 miles of swimming per day. Sharing the lake with our sea lions are a couple of the animals with a reputation for being the most dangerous animal in Africa, killing around 500 people a year. You're probably thinking crocodiles, but no. Allow me to introduce you to Spot and Sonia, our 2 magnificent female hippos. So, what can I tell you about them? Spot and Sonia arrived at Longleat in 1976, making them the oldest residents here in the park. Hippos are vegetarians, eating around 30 kilos of grass a day, and they can spend a lot of time in the water. It might surprise you to learn that hippos cannot swim. They're just too heavy. Instead, they hold their breath and sink, then just walk or run along the bottom of the lake, picking off vegetation along the way. Back home in Africa where they live, hippos are regarded as the architects of the Okavango Delta, clearing pathways through weeds as they search for fresh grazing. Another fascinating fact is that hippos can't sweat. However, they do produce their own type of sunscreen in a form of thick, oily, reddish fluid. And if the summer heat gets too much, a quick dip in the lake is sure to cool them down. In contrast, during the winter, they'll spend most of their time in the mud wallow, keeping warm. Hippos vocalize underwater, just like whales, and are in fact believed to be their closest living relatives. So, next time you're visiting Longleat, and if you are really lucky, you may even hear them. If the sea lions aren't filling the air with those noisy barks, that is.
Okay, guys, so that was part 2. Let me get the other part up. Let me stop share for a minute. I really like the safari park. If I ever get a chance to go to the UK, I definitely want to go there. All right, so this up here. Where we belong. Okay. All right, so our next area we're going to visit is the wombats. So let me share my screen.
Interesting animal living here. Recognize this? That's right, it's a wombat. Or Ellie, a southern hairy-nosed wombat, to be precise. Ellie came from a wombat rescue centre based in Adelaide, South Australia. Longleat works closely with its ambassador, Manfred Heidi, who originally took her in and hand-reared her. Unfortunately, she was too young and wouldn't have had the necessary skills to survive being released back into the wild, so Longleat brought her here, to the UK, where she settled in nicely. It's quite fitting that a wombat has a home here at Koala Creek, because, believe it or not, a koala is a wombat's closest living relative. And just like koalas, wombats are marsupials. They are also nocturnal, living in underground burrows and emerging at night to feed on grasses. Wombats are perfectly adapted for a life both above and below ground. They have rodent-like teeth and very strong jaws that grip and tear the grasses that they eat. And check out those stout legs with broad paws. Equipped with strong, blunt claws, these animals are well suited to digging. Their underground burrows can be made up of several interconnecting tunnels and chambers, sometimes reaching 30 meters in length. That's as long as 2 double-decker buses. The tunnels are so perfectly designed that even when the air temperature above ground is unbearably hot, the temperature in the burrow remains at a constant 26 degrees in summer and 14 degrees Celsius in winter. That's like having built-in air conditioning. In order to cope with the harsh, arid habitat where they live, southern hairy-nosed wombats are adept at water conservation. They're so good that they get all the water they need from their food and do not need to drink. Unlike most wombats, however, Ellie isn't a fan of digging. She doesn't seem to like getting dirty. Instead, she much prefers the occasional head scratch from her keepers and a roll in the sand. After which she goes to sleep on her back and her belly up. Undoubtedly, the sign of a happy wombat. The final animals pottering around here in Koala Creek, keeping the koalas and the wombat company, is this. Can you guess what it is? Well, that nose is a big clue, because this is a long-nosed potteroo. It is quite funny looking, isn't it? Charles Darwin described it as an animal as big as a rabbit, but with the figure of a kangaroo. A quite fitting description, given this small marsupial belongs to a family often referred to as rat kangaroos. As its name suggests, this species has a long, tapering nose, perfect for sniffing out its favourite food, truffles, as it hops around the forest floor at night. Oh, and in case you're wondering what their names are, the keepers must have been feeling very nostalgic to Australia on naming day. Because they're called, among others, Boomerang, Gumdrop and Didgeridoo. With names like that, they should feel right at home here in Longleat. Time to move on. Right, things are about to go up a notch because we've just entered our giant otters and crocodile zone. Let's start with the croc, shall we? These are Cuban crocodiles. As their name suggests, they are from Cuba, one of the Caribbean islands of Central America. The two you can see here are females. The larger of the two, Fang, around 5 foot long. But in the wild, this crocodile has been known to grow to nearly 13 feet and weigh in excess of 125 kilograms. Despite its lazy-looking pose here at Longleat, the Cuban crocodile has the reputation of being one of the most aggressive crocodiles in the world. Armed with razor-sharp teeth and an incredible sense of smell, this crocodile is capable of not only catching prey that is foolish enough to go swimming in the swamps where it lives, but also by launching itself 7 feet out of the water to catch what's in the trees. It's an incredible feat, and one which it has evolved over the 2 million years that they have lived on our planet. Unfortunately, it's thought that only 3,000 Cuban crocodiles remain on this planet. So we're very fortunate indeed to be able to show you these remarkable animals here at Longleat. The other fascinating animals we have here are our giant South American river otters. The pair we have here, Innie and Gordito, are, it has to be said, something of sweethearts. They are inseparable and are often seen playing together. It's pretty much like that with otters in the wild too. Giant river otters are highly social, living together in large families. Those bonds forged in play makes otter families a force to be reckoned with, and for good reason. As you can see here, despite having the option of using their pool, otters love spending time on land, and they're incredibly well adapted for both environments. Thanks to a highly flexible spine and powerful tail for balance, they are capable of reaching speeds of up to 18 miles an hour on land. Their front feet have long, nimble fingers at their ends to help forage and manipulate food. In the water, they adopt a torpedo-like form, pushing their head forward and tucking their legs into their body to reduce drag. If they need a burst of speed, they kick with their rear legs. With webbed rear feet and subtle movements of their tail, they twist and turn in the water with ease, as fast as any fish, which is just as well, as they love eating them. Our otters are fed around 5 times each day, eating 4 to 6 kilograms of fish between them. They especially love trout. And given that their fur is waterproof, giant river otters stay nice and warm. It's like they're wearing their very own wetsuit. I think you'll agree. Otters are indeed masters and commanders of the Amazon River. The penultimate stop on our virtual safari journey now takes us to Animal Adventure, home to some amazing animals from all over the world. First up, meet Maggie, Bobby and Jake, our 3 blue and gold macaws. Showing off their admiring public on top of their freshwood perches, here they'll chew at the bark, which helps to keep their beaks in tip-top condition. But their piece de resistance is a demonstration of their incredible agility, manoeuvring along their perch with ease thanks to their strong, dexterous feet and claws. Such delightful antics have their roots in the rainforests of Central and South America, where they live. Wild macaws in their jungle home are almost as acrobatic as monkeys, spending hours climbing and playing, using their feet to grasp and hold onto the branches in the trees where they feed. And with one of the most powerful beaks of any known bird, most nuts don't stand a chance. That, together with a dextile tongue, allows macaws to manipulate food with great precision. Such impressive food processing abilities is likely to be the reason why macaws have quite a varied diet. And we really do spoil ours. On a cold winter's day, for instance, they love nothing more than hot porridge and steamed vegetables, a hearty treat. With their raucous calls and stunning colours, macaws are without a doubt some of the most flamboyant and conspicuous members of the parrot family, and a welcome addition to Animal Adventure. Okay, time to move on. Now, for an animal that is super equipped to deal with its prey. Meet Longleat's royal python, 29-year-old Hermione. Growing to an impressive 1.8 meters, these snakes use heat-sensitive pits on either side of their mouth to detect body heat given off by their prey. They slither silently towards it before unleashing a lightning attack. And once they've caught it, the python reveals its deadliest attribute: constriction. Wrapping its body tightly around its victim, the python slowly squeezes the life out of its prey. Once dead, the python's multi-hinged jaw allows it to swallow its prey whole. It's so effective that pythons can eat prey 2 or 3 times wider than their own head. Time now for an animal that couldn't be more different if it tried. The rather curious looking, but utterly adorable armadillo. There are around 20 different species of armadillos, all of them found in America and all of them natural oddballs. This is a 6-banded armadillo, one of our 4 living here at Longleat. Preston is the breeding male. Polly is the adult female. They recently gave birth to 2 delightful boys, Digby and Dougie. These brothers will eventually go off to other collections to start their own families. For an armor-plated little tank, they can move around surprisingly fast when they want to, escaping predators or just searching for one of their favorite foods, termites. They are omnivores, which means they'll eat plant or animal matter. So they'll get stuck into things like eggs if they can find them, but it's much more typical to see them snuffling around with their nose up in the air and then burying it amongst some ants or termites, hoovering them up by the thousand. And that armour is going to make sure that any stings or bites aren't going to do them any harm whatsoever. Now hopefully you're getting a good look at those powerful claws. They're quite something, aren't they? Those are one of the armadillo's secret weapons, using them to scrape at and tear open termite mounds with ease to reach the tasty contents within. And should they ever feel threatened, they need to make a quick getaway. They bounce away like kangaroos. Like I say, quite the oddballs. From one of the cutest to the cruelest now, meet the Desertus wolf spider. Just before you run screaming from the room or grab a nearby cushion to hide your face, spare a thought for this exquisite arachnid, because sadly it has the title of being one of the world's rarest spiders, with only 4,000 individuals thought to remain. It lives on just one island, Desertus grande, off the southeast coast of Madeira. But an invasive weed is taking over the area they live in, threatening their very existence. Longleat took delivery of some young spiders back in December 2017, and the keepers have been charged with raising an army of these rare arachnids. This biosecure area has state-of-the-art temperature regulation, replicating the exact conditions on the island in order to give the spiders the best possible chance of reaching adulthood. They eat anything from cockroaches to crickets, but in the wild they might even prey upon young lizards. They have a particularly gruesome but highly effective hunting strategy. Having caught their prey, the spider injects it with venom, immobilizing it and then turning its insides into soup. If you look carefully, you'll notice the adults have those really striking black and white bands around their legs and small bright red dots around the side of their mouths. They can reach an impressive 5 inches, which is technically known as a massive spider. The ones we're raising here at Longleat have a little way to go just yet. But with the efforts we're making, the hope is that these spiders will go on to reproduce, thus boosting the population before eventually being reintroduced back into the wild. Right, on to the next animal. Meet our Arabian rock hyraxes, a mother and her son to be precise, who go by the names Myrtle and Tambo. The soles of their feet are specially adapted, almost rubber-like, helping them to clamber over rocks. But this is where you'll often see our rock hyrax, sat here in the window on their favourite branch. And for good reason, it's directly under the heater. Now, here's a question for you. Which animal do you think is the rock hyrax's closest relative? Well, it might surprise you if I tell you it is in fact an elephant. I know, you weren't expecting that, were you? And just like elephants, they eat a variety of vegetables, hay and grasses. Right, there's just one more animal left here to meet in Animal Adventure. And we've saved the cutest for last. Meet Anthony, our fennec fox, currently single and looking for love. So our keepers are busy looking out for a girlfriend for him. Interested parties should be aware that he loves his food and will literally eat anything. And how could anyone resist that adorable face? And check out those ears. At around 6 inches long, it's almost as they were designed for another animal. But for the fennec fox, they serve a vital purpose. In the deserts of North Africa where they live, they have to contend with blistering temperatures. But those large, impressive ears radiate body heat, helping to keep the fox cool. Their feet are also especially hairy, further protecting them from the hot sand when digging their underground dens. And if right now he's looking a little sleepy, well, that's because fennec foxes are nocturnal, so they hunt and forage at night when the temperature drops. Sweet dreams, Anthony. Before we say goodbye, there's just time to meet a few more animals only a short walk away from Animal Adventure. First up, let's head to the Batcave. Housed in the stately surrounds of Longleat, this converted coach house is home to our colony of free-flying Egyptian fruit bats. As any visitor to Longleat will attest to, walking amongst them is quite an experience. 1 minute they're hanging upside down from their specially constructed webbing on the ceiling, and then quite suddenly, without warning, they'll fly right past your face searching out the next fruity meal. Egyptian fruit bats not only have great eyesight, thus dispelling the expression as blind as a bat, but they also use an extraordinary system called echolocation to navigate. It's a foolproof tool which enables the bat to find its way into a roost or forage for food, all the way while avoiding obstacles such as trees, other bats, or in this case, our visitors. Here's how it works. The bat emits a sound which hits an object in its path. The resulting echo travels back to the bat and is then processed, giving the bat the necessary information about the world around it. It's like seeing with sound. And when you see them tucking into their favourite fruit, have a look at those teeth. Each one is very long and very strong, and for good reason. They are the ideal tool for puncturing the thick skin of the fruit that they eat. And eat they do. This species eats more fruit per their body weight than any other animals in the park. Right, time to move on. The last stop on our virtual safari takes us down towards Longleat's family farmyard, where we proudly present one of Australia's best bouncers, the red-necked wallaby, so named due to the patch of reddish fur around their necks and shoulders. This one, called Newt, is particularly special to us. He was hand-reared a few years ago, making him particularly friendly, so you'll often see him bouncing over enthusiastically to sit with the keepers. Although wallabies are generally solitary animals, you do find them coming together in groups like this, usually to forage for food. Just like meerkats, a group of these animals is known as a mob. But unlike the meerkats, these are not social animals. They do not work as a team, and they certainly don't have one individual on guard looking out for predators. It's every wallaby for itself, which is probably why they can all sometimes look a little skittish. The wonderful thing about keeping such a large breeding group, like we have here at Longleat, is that we regularly hear the pitter-patter of tiny feet. Baby wallabies are called joeys, and like the koalas we saw before, the young live in a pouch until they are around 8 or 9 months old. But the incredible part of their story is that they are born blind and deaf, weighing less than a gram, yet incredibly find their way through their mother's fur to the pouch. What a feat for something no bigger than a bean. Well, that's the end of your Longleat virtual safari.
So guys, that was the last of our safari. I hope everybody really enjoyed it. I love animals and learning about animals. Not a fan of the spiders. And Sean, the animal I said looked like a Pokemon character was the fennec fox. He looked like a what is it, Eevee or something like that. Looked like a Pokemon character. So on this tour, guys, what was your favorite on this one? Raise your hand and let me know what your favorite one was on this. Caitlin.
I like the fox.
You like the fox? I did too. Yeah. Okay, Kristen.
I like the reptiles.
The reptiles, okay. Lauren, I see you. Let me see.
Meerkats.
What was your the meerkats? Yeah, the
Meerkats.
meerkats. Yeah, those are really cute. Okay, let's see here. Allison,
Kangaroo.
kangaroos, okay. What about you, Jose? I saw you typed a couple things. What was your favorite, Jose?
Let me see if he's looking. He's not looking right now. Let me see.
It's okay.
Hold on. Oh, he likes the porcupine.
The porcupines?
Yeah.
I like those porcupines too. I wouldn't want to be on the business end of a porcupine though. Hi, everyone. Oh, okay. Hold on, Harrison. Let me see if I can unmute you. I don't think you guys can be unmuted. If you want, write it in the comments. Type it into the comments, okay? Because it won't let me unmute you. Does anybody else want to tell me what their favorite animal was? Let's see, let's see, let's see. Sean, you've been watching this whole time. What's yours? What was your favorite animal, Sean?
Armadillo.
The armadillo?
Armadillo.
Yeah, those
I
are
want the
pretty cool.
crocs.
You like the crocodiles? I told Sean he was talking to me in the comments. I'm gonna have to give him a visit with a real live snake. He said the snakes creeped him out. But here's our wonderful co-host Aaron back.
Thank you, Amanda. Great tour. I think everyone really enjoyed it. You could tell with the comments. And what are you holding up there, Kristen?
Looks like a picture. She went to a safari or something.
Oh, that's awesome. Very cool. Well, that was a perfect week with our virtual tours and going through a safari park. You're right. I think everyone loves animals, so very well done. I like the sea lions in that segment. I thought that was awesome. So thank you, Amanda. Looking
I like
forward
the
to
pan.
this morning.
Yeah.
Oh, come back and join us in 15 minutes as we head over to Gallia County. that was live in Boonville.